Productive Dentist Academy podcast network.
I know for sure it's because trust hasn't been established, meaning they did not ask me about what was important to me.
Thanks for tuning into the Everyday Practices Dental Podcast. I'm Regan Robertson. My co-host Sara Hansen and I interview real dentists and experts who grow their dental practices using authentic marketing in a way that you can remember, repeat, and use in your own practice to get the patients you deserve. Let's dive in. Hey, Sara.
Regan.
Ghosting these days isn't just for dating, you know.
Maybe I'm too old for dating ghosting stories. I've been married 25 years.
I've been with my hubs for 26 years. So I guess we're dating ourselves right away. Ghosting, I don't remember ghosting being a thing when we were
I don't
in
either.
the dating realm, but it sure is like it's a hot topic now.
It is.
It's a regular thing to do. But now it seems like, do you think patients were ghosting doctors 26 years ago?
Yeah, I do. So
it's been a pervasive thing.
Yeah, but the difference is, so I have been in dentistry, 25 years. So thinking back to some of my first jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had schedules that were written out in a huge schedule book,
Mm-hmm.
right? We had ledgers that you used pen and paper, like nothing was digitized at that time. So I think it was probably harder to track some of those patients other than just literally pulling each chart, going through, does this patient need treatment? I mean, wow, it's like now we have so much technology to make our lives easier to figure out where are those patients. So, Regan, why do you think people ghost? What's that about?
I can tell you why I've ghosted. So
Okay.
I've been a ghoster with different services. One, I think it's a lack of like avoiding conflict. So I have not ghosted my dentist. So that full disclosure there. But I've definitely go hair salon folks over the years. So if I feel like they're not hearing me or I'm not making a great connection and I don't feel like my hairstyle has been like basically to my liking, and I'll try a couple of times, but I'm a people pleaser too. Like I'm a recovering people person. So I will smile. I've smiled and then been like, okay, thank you. And then I don't reschedule, or I say something like, oh, I'll take a look at my calendar and then I'll reschedule. And then I haven't rescheduled. And usually it's because some need wasn't met, and either I tried to communicate it and it wasn't received, or I didn't feel like it was going to be received. So that's been a really powerful, I think, grow up lesson for me over the years. Is I think that people will often ghost because of those reasons. There's probably other reasons also, but that's why I've ghosted in the past. How about you?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think, at least for me, outside of dentistry, but even inside, medical appointments or dental appointments, I will say it's probably, well, I know for sure it's because trust hasn't been established, meaning they did not ask me about what was important to me. So I have an example I want to share. So,
God. Keep going. That totally hits. Keep
right.
going.
Right. Yeah. So my husband and I were looking at cars, and, we go to this dealership and we're looking at cars, and I'm a mom with two busy girls, right? I want to have something that I can haul friends in back and forth between swim practice and horseback riding and stuff like that. And as we're talking to the salesperson, my husband wasn't there at the time. So the salesperson's just talking to me, and he's telling me about this SUV and how great the motor is and how, it does all these things. And I'm like, I don't care about that. Like, I want to know that I can put my kids in the back and it's safe, and, does it play great music and, that sort of thing. And so what I find interesting about that conversation was he never once asked me, what is important to you in buying a car, right? So if we relate that to our patients, why are we asking our patients what is important to them? Do you want a beautiful smile? Do you care more about the function of your smile? Are things painful to you? Are you losing confidence? What's important to you? And I think that that's a missing piece sometimes.
Oh, I think that's a huge missing piece. The light bulbs went off because
Yeah.
that I can equate that over not just to the times when I have, and when I'm saying this is like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but even still, it's still relevant today. If
Yeah.
I'm not feeling heard, that's a big deal. And do you know my grandpa? He owned car dealerships, and
Yeah.
I never got to meet him, but I was gifted one of his sales training books that he created for his sales team. So this was back in the 40s, the 1940s, which
Oh,
according to my son was like they didn't even have electricity at that point. The whole book,
dinosaurs.
yeah, the whole book was like the first section was know your audience, and it
Ah,
was about how to sell the car to the woman in the relationship, which I thought in the
ooh,
40s that was extremely progressive.
yeah.
And it had like two columns that I remember, and one column had like what a woman looks for in a car. Now, don't be triggered today, obviously, because it's very gender stereotyped and obviously wouldn't apply to today. However, it did get to the point of listen to the needs of how that end user is going to apply the vehicle versus the man in the relationship. So
Yeah.
it had a lot of the technical specs and details about the car itself on the right column for the man, and then on the left it had the comfort, the how easy it is to get the kids in and out of the car. Like it was all of these really soft touches that was more
Yeah.
about how the car will make you feel. And then the one on the right was how the car performs and how it
Yes.
stacks up against the other vehicles as far as longevity of the motor, for example. So I think you're absolutely spot on. And it can be really difficult, especially like doctor, if you're sitting across from a patient and they're smiling at you and nodding and everything seems like it's okay, and then suddenly
Yes.
they don't, it's not, and it's so confusing. We have to be able to read between the lines. I think that's a killer tip, Sarah. So
Mhm.
what do you see doctors asking in that appointment or in their marketing material, whatever messaging is out that shows the patient that you're willing to listen to them, like really listen to them?
At Productive Dentist Academy, we've helped thousands of private practice owners find the clarity inside their data and take control again, starting with a free 60-minute coaching session. Head over to investmentgradepractice.com right now before the next patient sits down to claim your free 60-minute coaching session. That's investmentgradepractice.com.
I think it's important that even when you send the patient their new patient information, getting to know them, asking questions about, how do you feel about your smile? What's important to you? What things don't you like about your smile? We really start to understand the patient. Also, I think understanding who they are. So, asking a lot of questions. If you have a patient that is very analytical, maybe they are an engineer by trade, right? I would guess they probably care more about the function of their smile than maybe the cosmetic. Any woman is really going to care about cosmetic. So, understanding that, and then as you present to them with treatment, now you understand what's important to them and it makes it easier. So, for example, Reagan, if you told me, "Hey, I really want to you know, I want a new smile. I want to feel confident. I've put my kids first for so long and now it's my time." And I say to you as the dentist, "Reagan, have you been putting off dentistry for a long time? And you know what? This is about you now. Let's invest in you, right? This is you care about that beautiful smile. We can find a way to make that happen for you." Now when you start speaking to that patient's language, then it's like now they have a reason to feel one trusting of you because you've listened and you've repeated that back to them, but now you're finding a treatment plan that works for them, right? And a way to communicate that to them instead of just getting into our diagnostic conversations that we tend to do, but now we are really customizing that language for each of our patients.
So, okay, so while in a dating scenario, ghosting is not a great way to kick things off. And I wouldn't personally recommend chasing someone who ghosts you. I would say that they allowed themselves to be fully seen and bye-bye. We don't want that. But
Yeah.
in the dental office, we can certainly save relationships that have ghosted us. And I love how you talked about the homework, the intake of it. I know in my own like the medical practice that I go to, they had my heart wrapped in a bow when I sat in for my very first appointment. And when the doctor came in, she says, "Hello, Reagan. I have just spent so much time going over your medical history. Thank you for filling all of that out. We pay attention to it." Like, that was so cool because then I was like, "Okay, I've already" you have to do it online, and then you probably have to do it in person, and then the nurse sees you, and then the doctor sees you, and oftentimes it just feels like, "Why am I even filling this out?" So that's incredible. So if you've done your homework and you've presented treatment and they have not said yes to care yet, like, what steps in your vast history, Sarah, do you find works best to get them out of the ghosting category and back into engagement with us?
Yeah. I think, it happens so frequently. Doctors, I want you to picture your practice. You've given your patients a great patient experience. They've gone through, they're happy, they're not upset, they want to move forward. But then at the end, when they get to that point of moving forward, something comes up, meaning they say, "Let me check my calendar, I'll call you back," or "Let me talk to my spouse," or something like that. And then what happens is these patients just quietly disappear, not because they're upset, not because they don't care, but simply because there was something that they were not attached to in a way. There's something that still is holding them back. So until that patient actually takes action to move forward and book an appointment and come in, there still is a missing piece that we need to identify as a team. Maybe it's they're concerned about finances, but they're embarrassed, right? Maybe there was just something that they're like, I don't understand, but I don't want to feel dumb. And so I'm going to shake my head and smile and pretend like I know what you're talking about. And so or sometimes maybe they just need time to register or process, right? What they're doing. So again, I don't think it's bad for them, but where we need to stop the ghosting is, do we have a follow-up system? Do we have an opportunity to then say to them, "Hey, I know you're not moving forward. Is there something that's holding you back?" Right? Are they concerned about finances? Do you have the solutions for those? Is there something that maybe they didn't understand? I know there are multiple times when presenting treatment plans that the patient, was smiling and shaking their head. And when I took a minute and said, "What? So can you repeat back to me what the doctor said that you needed?" They looked at me with like a blank stare, right? Which told me something in that treatment presentation or diagnostic with the doctor they didn't get. So that was a clue for me to say, you know what? I'm going to grab the doctor and I'm going to pull him in for just a minute. I just want to make sure that all of your questions are answered. So I think taking the time to understand why those patients are not moving forward, that is where I think that ghosting happens. And then what then what do we do once they're there, right? Now we're trying to reactivate. So now it's like we're on the defense instead of being proactive, if that makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense. I think it gave me the realization that there's a super fine line. So follow through is probably the weakest area that I see in any dental practice when it comes to treatment acceptance, obviously. And there is an unintentional ghosting that I think happens on behalf of the practice. So again, speaking from personal experience, I've been presented treatment plans and I walk out the door without scheduling so that I can process, which is great, healthy to process. And then my brain goes off into a million different avenues. I'm a busy mom. I am a busy wife. I am a busy daughter. I am a busy best
Yeah.
friend. I am a busy career woman. I have so many things going on that I'll end up putting, my health often goes down further on the priority list and I will forget about it. So days turn into weeks that can turn into months. And the practice is also just as silent. And so that is a nuance and a discretionary moment. Like, you don't want to be too pushy, but you also want to gently carry that relationship forward with that transaction. So you want to reach out and let them know. And I'll tell you, when a medical establishment does that for me, be like a text message, just a friendly reminder, and even saying friendly reminder, something that is relational, that uh, has 10 out of 10 come off for me as a really great way to be held. And then, oh my gosh, it's always, oh my gosh, yep, I've got to schedule this, or I meant to do this. And brings it back top of mind. And had they not done that, yeah, they could have lost some pretty big treatment plans as a result of that. So I think understanding that your job as a practice is to continue that communication and hold that relationship after they walk out the door is massive for re-engagement.
It is massive. And here's the reality is it's like I think we just get so busy that we just forget, right? I mean, we're really focused on the patients right in front of us. However, those patients, the new patient experience has not ended yet. And
Oh,
Victoria says this a lot. She says, when does that new patient experience actually end? Is it at the time of the exam? Is it? And it's like, no, that new patient experience does not end until they are now a loyal patient of yours and are referring friends and family, right? And so what happens is they go through this new patient experience. They kind of fall through the cracks. We don't have a follow-up system in the practice just because we're busy. We're focused on the patients in front of us. And yeah, Reagan, you're exactly right. It turns into 6 months later, and we're like, oh, wait, where is that patient? So, teams, I would recommend, and doctors, have some type of treatment follow up. And doctors, I know you're busy, but if there's a patient that didn't move forward, I would recommend to hold that relationship really close to you, that you actually reach out to them. Maybe it's 2 days after or something, even sending a text. Hey, this is Dr. So and so. I know we talked about a lot of things at your visit. I am here to answer any questions that you have. I think trying to bridge that gap of when the patient goes through the experience to when they fall through and that ghosting happens. So establishing a system in the practice where you can get on top of those and that they're not just quietly slipping out the back door. And next thing you know, you're down 100 patients because it's not that something happened, it's just that they've quietly disappeared.
do you see what that is? So in our own personal relationships, we take them very seriously. We honor them, we invest in them because we know that it's something precious. And I and the there's a big discrepancy in any healthcare organization really or business because there is the myth that there will always be more patients. I think it's probably not a myth. There will always be more patients, but I think we put more effort on the acquisition of patients than we do maintaining the relationships that are so valuable, which actually is what can drive the growth of the practice long term and help it become a durable, stable business. What are the stats on how much typically is sitting in a practice, like with unscheduled treatment?
Oh, Reagan, be prepared to have your mind blown.
I know it's big, but I've heard you say it before, but I don't remember what the exact stats are.
So at least 500,000, but millions, plural, of and Reagan, I'm so glad you said that because, like,
Ridiculous.
no, and so doctors get hyper focused on, I need more new patients. I need more new patients. But yet we're missing, like, we're so worried about marketing to strangers, right? They don't know us, like they don't know, which I'm not saying that's bad, but yet we don't put that same emphasis on our patients that know us. They've been to our office, they've met our team, we've had conversations. There still is a level of trust there, right? Maybe they haven't completed the full new patient experience because they haven't scheduled treatment. So again, that's our opportunity to reach out and say, hey, we're thinking about you, not just like a generic text message that says, hey, you're due for your past due cleaning, but like a genuine, heartfelt relationship matters text, right?
Okay, let's get into the tactics and the how-to. So listeners, you guys will get to write this down because this is what's going to bridge it. So if you're tired of patients ghosting you, if you run an unscheduled treatment report in your practice and you have 100,000 plus 500,000, who knows what you have.
Yeah.
I personally, as a business owner, would be focusing on that.
Yeah.
So dedicated instead of spending tons of external marketing dollars trying to acquire patients who aren't even bought into your care in the first place. So that's where I would definitely focus. So in the tactical realm of what's to be done, I want to put one nugget in, Sarah, and then I'm going to let you fly with this because I know you're so good at this. I gifted my medical doctor, I got her tea. So her and I like tea. And she mentioned in one of our appointments that she loves double cream Earl Grey. So I went on vacation and I found some double cream Earl Grey and I got it for her. And then I don't know, it was like a couple appointments in that I finally remembered that I bought it. But anyway, regardless, took it to her. She was like, "Oh my gosh, it's so sweet, blah, 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 blah." I get a handwritten note like a few days later, like not even maybe a week. And it was, on her stationery, of course, but handwritten. And it was, "Thank you so much for the tea. It was delicious. I will think of it every time. I will think of you every time I drink it." And it was just a simple signature. It was a short note. It was sweet. It was hand mailed to me. And I will continue to always stay at that practice. Yeah, they've got it completely dialed in. What are some things that our listeners right now can do when they've made the treatment presentation? The patient has walked out the door. You know it's sitting in your books. You can find it. What can they do starting tomorrow, starting today, as soon as they listen
Yeah.
to this?
Yeah. Starting today, just reach out with a heartfelt relationship matters, text, email, whatever that looks like, right? And again, we've got to keep it out of the transactional. I mean, all of these things that we've been talking about the last few weeks really are about that relationship. And trust is so essential for your practice, right? They're trusting you in so many things. So again, reaching out with a heartfelt text of, "Hey Regan, it's been a little while since we've seen you. We know last time we chatted, you were concerned about your smile. We would love to discuss that with you some more. Please give us a call," just something like that, right? Or if you have concerns or things like that. So everybody, you can run an unscheduled treatment report. You might be a little overwhelmed by the unscheduled active patients that actually show up, and the dollar amount that's associated to that. But just start working that report. Reach out to your patients, send them a heartfelt message, give them a phone call. I do get that it can be a lot, right? It's kind of one of those systems that it's like, okay, so we know we've got several patients that have ghosted us. Like that feels overwhelming, but just start. Again, there's systems you can implement in your practice to help make that easier for you, but just start, right? Or
Okay.
maybe, yeah, I know I can see your wheels turning right
No,
now.
one, this is spring cleaning. So
Yes.
yeah, so doctor, you have spring cleaning mission ahead of you here, and that requires a little bit of extra work. Let's go low tech and high tech. So low tech, they don't have automation software to do this. They, just the scenario is we're going to have to hand do this. So,
Yeah.
so we would take what would we take the doctor, the front desk team, and then life notes are really important. So when you say heartfelt, I want to get into the hows of this. Like, what does heartfelt look like really? Like, if it's definitely not just, "Hey, we miss you, call us," or
Yeah.
"Hey, we made a treatment plan and you didn't do anything with it." I like how you said, you mentioned that you cared about your smile. So would somebody go in and look at the treatment plan and the life notes and kind of figure out like what message should go in that text message? And then how did you do it? Like say, "Okay, Sherry, you have 10 today, and Mike, you have 10 today." And that's it. And that's how you'll go through and chunk the list out.
Yes. And okay, wait. Here's another reason why Teams notes are so important. Let's say Reagan doesn't schedule. I'm the treatment coordinator. And I'm like, "Reagan, what's holding you back?" And you say, "Sarah, my daughter's getting married in 2 months. I just cannot deal with this until like let me, get her off and married, and then I'll call you back." I better at that moment be putting a note in that says, "Reagan's daughter is getting married in 2 months.
She will, let's make sure we follow up with her after May, right? So then when the team's going back in and you're trying to figure out why is this patient not scheduled? Well, now we have notes in there as well saying, oh yeah, her daughter got married. That's right, right? So then you can reach out. How did the wedding go?
My
That sort of
hygienist,
thing.
shout out to my hygienist, Michael. He is dialed in. Like he takes really, really great notes, things that I do not remember talking to him about. And then when I see him again, he always follows up. He is so good about that. And it makes me feel like I'm in relation. It also makes me feel like I will do anything he says. Literally, like if I get a recommendation for my health, I am down to follow it.
You're it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so text message that has something that is personal if it's available.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that
Text message,
equates to
email. Yeah. Phone
connect
call.
with the person before you connect with the treatment that they should be coming in for.
Yes. Bingo. That's it.
Have you ever heard of anybody doing like mailed notes, or has it mostly been phone, email, and text?
So here's the reality is none of us pick up calls anymore. I mean,
I know
right?
everybody screens them.
Everybody screens, everybody sends to voicemail. I mean, and even like while I'm working, I can't take phone calls very often, right? So it's not that I don't want to talk to people. So again, if someone texts me or if someone sent me something in the mail or an email, I am much more likely to respond to that than calling somebody back. So I don't think phone calls are bad, but what we don't want is if we're noticing that our patients aren't picking up the phone, then that's your trigger to say, okay, what else? I would also say if you know your patients, like the older generation, they're going to love a handwritten note, right? I mean, they're still the ones that come in to make their dental appointments or they send handwritten cards because that's just the generation. The technology didn't exist for them. So if there's an older gentleman or woman that would love to just receive a handwritten note from you, I mean, go to the dollar store, buy a bunch of blank cards, or get your own customized stationery with your logo for marketing, right? But send just a handwritten note. Hey, we're thinking about you. We know it's been a little while. Do you have any questions? Can we support you? How's your family? Right. So, again, dentistry, we have to pull it out of that transactional. And doctors, I would guess that the more trust based, the more relationship based your experiences are with your patients, just all around is going to be better for not only you, but for the patient, right? They're going to accept treatment. If they are concerned about something, they will ask more questions. But I think if we get into that transactional relationship, it's easy for them at that point to just say, okay, I'll check my calendar and call you back. When we're in a relationship with someone, it's harder for us to say, "Oh, I can't make it," right? It's like even to keep their appointments and things like that because they care about us, right? We don't cancel on our best friend going to dinner, but we'll cancel on someone we don't know because we're like, "Yeah, something better came up," right? So again, like we can't stress enough how important that relationship piece is. And again, our patients sometimes they're not brave enough or they're scared or whatever to ask more questions. So it's our job then to find out more about them, right? And to find out what's holding them back. Why are they not moving forward?
Guides are so important in our lives. So it's important, doctors, that you're the guide for your patients and your team. For you and me, Sarah, let's help guide our dental practices into the system. So when we go from low tech, spring cleaning, let's just get back to baseline. That's great. How do we turn this into a repeatable system so that we're not going back and saying, oh my gosh, we're at 500K of unscheduled treatment and we have to go above and beyond to right the ship? This is an incredible internal marketing opportunity that will, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's take systems.
I love systems. I mean, so here's the deal. Meet with your team, right? And figure out what's going to work for you. So I hear often teams use the 2-day, 2-week, and 2-month treatment reactivation system because it's easy for everyone to remember. So again, a patient goes through that journey. Treatment is presented for some reason. They didn't accept treatment. You go through that protocol. If they still didn't accept treatment, right? Then you reach out to them in 2 days. You're going to follow up with them, ask their permission. Hey, I'm going to follow up with you in 2 days, right? Again, we're setting the expectation that they can expect you to call or reach out or text or whatever. Then 2 weeks later. So what's happening now is that patient knows that we care. I also tell teams, you guys all have iPhones. Film a generic short fun video that you can send to your patients, right? That just is maybe the hygiene team that's like, hey, we're thinking about you, it's time for your cleaning, come and see us, right? So it doesn't always have to just be a text message or an email or a phone call, but you can add personalized videos. You can do fun different things. Like I said, handwritten cards are really great, but establish the system, because if you're seeing maybe 10 patients a day and 3 of those didn't schedule, well, now it's only 3 patients, right?
Yeah.
Not thousands of patients that we're reaching out to. So even just starting today in your practice and say, okay, team, what's going to work for us? Do we want to do 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months? Do we want to follow up the next day? What does that look like? And then every day you guys do exactly what that system is. Now it's not going to be overwhelming, and your patients will come to expect that, right? That they're like, they're going to follow up with me if I don't schedule, they're not going to let me slip through the cracks type of thing. And they feel held that way. And so again, I think just making sure that we're not, you know, letting them disappear, but that within our internal marketing system that we've got a plan to reach out to them.
So if you're not giving your team space every single day to account for those, then you're missing out, is what it's like. That's where the system's going to fail if you do not invest time structure into that.
Yes, or a designated person, right?
Mhm.
That is part of their job description is every day they will follow up with the patients, again, whatever that internal system looks like, that they're following up with those patients that they're saying, "Hey, it's been a few days, we haven't seen you." So those are the pieces that we can start Monday, right? And start to implement. Yeah.
What softwares or technology have you seen that help automate re-engagement?
Yeah, so any practice communication software, which I would guarantee most practices have this day and age because texting is
But are they optimizing it? You never know.
so that's what I was gonna say. That's the question is, are you utilizing it? But I would say most practices have some type of patient communication software, and I would bet that there is some sort of campaign feature or bulk messaging that you can reach out to those patients. But again, I would recommend doing not just bulk messaging unless you want to get caught up on the like really past due ones, but every day that you are sending that relationship based message, no matter what that looks like, to that patient, and just letting them know that you care.
What are some of our common ones that practices likely have in action right now and don't realize that they're not using it?
Yeah, dental intel engagement is a huge one. If you're tracking analytics, again, they go hand in hand. You have the analytics to say, hey, this is how many patients are due, or this is how many patients are active but not scheduled. Mango is a big one. I know Weave. So there are several out there. I am happy, you guys, if you have any questions, like feel free to email me. Again, I can help walk you through great systems, what that looks like, how do we utilize that software, things like that. So again, I would say teams don't miss out on this opportunity. Again, it's so crucial to keep those happy patients just held. Like I said, it's dentistry is a relationship. And I think we just sometimes miss out on those trust touch points that they go through without that patient experience every time they come in.
Oh, Sarah, I adore you. I adore that you are really passionate about keeping the trust touch points. I know you and I both, it's a personal passion of ours to hold that relationship. Listeners, our mission is to help you, one, get the most out of what you're already doing so you don't have to waste money and end up wondering where all your profit is going, because oftentimes it's really
we just have to turn around and pay attention to what's already available to us. And I think that that is something, as two really seasoned marketing mavens that we both are, we see over and over again together. So yeah, email Sara, SARA at rapdentist.com. And with any questions you have, you probably have a software that you're not utilizing that can help you with your re-engagement on patients. You probably have areas where your system can be improved that you're not even aware of. And should you really even be aware, you should be practicing dentisting. But in the interim, of life, it's just one of those areas that when we look at it, man, it's going to save us so much money.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just about reconnecting with those patients that already trust you. That simple.
Hey, thanks for joining us on Everyday Practices Dental Podcast. It would mean the world to me if you could leave us a like or a review on iTunes, or go to Productive Dentist Academy through Google and leave us a review there. We are here each week to talk about what's possible when you leave your practice with clarity and courage. If you are ready to build a business that supports your life and not the other way around, investment grade practice coaching powered by Productive Dentist Academy can help. Visit investmentgradepractice.com to schedule your free 60-minute coaching session so you can start designing the practice and lifestyle you've been dreaming about all along.